All right. All right, Kansas City, how are you doing? How are you doing? This is the BFTAA and More Show. I'm your host, Louis George Walker. Let me get in the center there where you can see me. Coming to you live from my home right now. We're doing a broadcast. I got a new computer that I picked up or that got delivered here last Friday and been working on it, trying to get it set up so that I will be able to back up the system at the studio with the system that I have here at home. So you don't see the green screen behind me in some of the backgrounds. We've got to work that out. Over here, you can see to my left, your right, I guess, the old computer, and I've got all the data and the programs out of it that I think I need. So I've been working. It was a rough weekend trying to get all that changed, but we're going to talk about that in a minute. I'd like to welcome you to the BFTAA and More Show. We're glad to have you. I'm going to verify that this setup is going out right on my Facebook account so I can listen to it right here on the radio and make sure that we're here. Oh, yeah, I got it. I can hear myself. So we are going out, and that is a good thing. That's what we wanted to verify. So, yeah, thank you for joining in to the BFTAA and More Show. Yeah, things are a little disarray here behind me, but it's been a battle. But we want to let you know that this is the Black Family Technology Awareness Association show in partnership with W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center, and we formed a radio station called Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom, KUAW Radio. We're on the internet 24 hours a day, broadcasting news, information, giving you music, giving you entertainment, and giving you fun. So we want you to join us and also learn something at the same time. So this is a little bit of edutainment. You'll get a little bit of education in with the fun that's going on. And we're going to talk about all the things that are coming up with KUAW Radio on this show today. But first, we have to go to a thing that we always do, and it's what's happening this week at NASA. We've got the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, and we always give you an update every week of what's going on at NASA. So we're going to do that. We're going to do the space to ground and just let you get some information of what's happening at the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. So let's check out what's happening this week at NASA.
The next commercial cargo mission to the space station.
All right, now it doesn't want to give me the sound. Just a second. That's what you got to do with these new setups, is get all the sound together. Let's see, I've got a default. See if I can get sound out to you now. Yeah, you get a new computer, new updates, and you've got to see what's going on. Still not getting desktop audio. Let's see. We can get it out there to you, though. Here we go. Start this over one more time, and we'll see if we can do it right. Now, let's try what's going on this week at NASA.
Recently launched mission. A few of the stories to tell you about this week at NASA. Our commercial partner Northrop Grumman's Cygnus cargo spacecraft is loaded with more than 8,300 pounds of research crew supplies and hardware for the crew aboard the International Space Station. The Cygnus, named in honor of late astronaut Piers Sellers, is targeted for launch on February 19th from our Wallops Flight Facility atop the company's Antares rocket. This is Northrop Grumman's 17th resupply mission to the space station for NASA.
and liftoff.
A Russian Progress spacecraft launched to the International Space Station from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan on February 14th at 11:25 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, loaded with almost 3 tons of food, fuel, and supplies. After 34 orbits of Earth, the uncrewed Progress arrived at the orbital outpost on February 17th and linked up to the Poisk docking compartment on the Russian segment of the station. February 18th marked the 1-year anniversary of our Perseverance rover's landing on Mars. Since then, the rover has racked up several firsts. It has collected Martian rock core samples that may one day become the first from another planet to be returned to Earth on a future mission. The rover also has served as a base station for the first helicopter on Mars, tested the first prototype oxygen generator on the Red Planet, and recently broken a record for the most distance driven by a Mars rover in a single day. The Mars 2020 Perseverance mission is part of NASA's Moon to Mars exploration approach, which includes Artemis missions to the Moon to help prepare for human exploration of the Red Planet. The magenta color in this image of supernova Cassiopeia A represents some of the first X-ray data captured by NASA's Imaging X-ray Polarimetry Explorer, or IXPE, since completing its month-long commissioning phase. The magenta color corresponds to the intensity of X-ray light observed by IXPE and is overlaid with high-energy X-ray data, shown in blue, from NASA's Chandra X-ray Observatory. All instruments are functioning well aboard IXPE, which launched in December 2021 on a quest to study some of the most mysterious and extreme objects in the universe. According to a new report by an interagency sea level rise task force that includes NASA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and other federal agencies, coastal flooding will increase significantly by 2050 due to a projected rise in sea level in the next 30 years that could equal the total sea level rise seen over the past 100 years. The report, used by government agencies to help inform their plans to deal with the effects of sea level rise, concludes that sea levels along U.S. coastlines will rise between 10 to 12 inches on average above today's levels by 2050. For more about sea level and climate change, check out sealevel.nasa.gov. That's what's up this week at NASA. For more on these and other stories, follow us on the web at nasa.gov/Twan.
Yeah, that's what's going on this week at NASA. Let's see if we can see what we're getting a little echo from here. I think from my main camera. Hello? Oh man, I tell you, that's getting this new stuff working right is interesting. But it's always fun to kind of tinker around with what you've got going on. Let's see. Okay, I don't know why I'm hearing this tone now. Wasn't getting that a minute ago. And now it's a little bit of an echo here and a humming noise. Okay, let me move my camera. Okay. All right. That's some of my speaker itself giving a feedback. All right. Okay, so we're on here and we're live and you can hear me now. I'm glad about that. Yeah, as I was telling you earlier, I did get a new computer. Just picked it up Friday and I'm going to be testing it out. I've moved some data on it. I bought a Dell. It's a Dell XPS 8940. A Dell XPS. I've never owned a Dell computer before, so this is my first time in getting a Dell. It's got it's an i7 chip in it. The CPU core is an i7. Its main speed is 2.50 gigahertz, but there's a turbo boost that takes it up over 4 gigahertz. So we've got that. We also got 16 gigabits of RAM, which is more RAM than I had in my last computer, which was running real slow. And that's one of the things that made me want to change over. It's a 64-bit operating system, which most of them are now. So I bought this brand new Dell. It was delivered on February the 11th. I think that's when I've got it. No, I got it last week. It was probably about the 15th. But we've got it in. We've got most of everything working on it. It seems to be a lot faster, a lot smoother operation than my other computer. I did some editing on some files. They worked a little bit faster. I do have to add a graphics card. I didn't get a graphics card with this, so I'm working with the onboard Intel graphics, which is built into the motherboard. But I will be getting a graphics card pretty soon to add into this computer. And it seems to be a pretty nice box. Didn't come with a whole lot of accessories. You know, they do give you a trial version of Microsoft Office, and I got a keyboard and a mouse. That's about it, you know, but that's the way most of your computers, unless you order some kind of combo package, is what you're going to get. It's not a touch screen. It's a old tower. It came with 550 gigabits of SSD, which is solid state RAM in it. I added a spare hard drive, which I had in my other computer. So I added a terabyte hard drive in there, which I store a lot of the video and audio that we used in this producing these shows and what we have on KUAW, and some of my personal photos and stuff. So I've got those loaded in there. And there's room for another hard drive, another hard drive and another solid state drive. So I can add some more storage into this computer, and I may do that later, but external storage works pretty good. I've got a 5 gigabit external storage unit that's attached to it also. So that's from my old computer. The old computer I had was an HP, and it served me for a long time. I mean, I had it for over 10 years, and it wasn't failing as far as anything going bad or needing to go in the shop, but the maximum amount of RAM it could take was 8 gigabits. So it had 8 gigabits in it, and a lot of the programs that I'm running and then trying to stream and doing things was really putting a load. It was working real slow. Trying to open up another screen on it was hard. You'd go to start it up, and I'd have to wait about 10 minutes for it to get boosted up. I could go fix a cup of coffee and come back, and it was still coming on. And I know a lot of people, after you've had your computer a long time, they get old, long in the tooth. That's something that can happen, you know. But not having more RAM was one of the biggest drawbacks that I thought. And it was maxed out at 8 gigabits, which when I bought it back in 2011 was good. Matter of fact, it came with 4 gigabits, and I added 4 to take it up to 8. So that was, you know, I thought I had I did have a good machine at that time. But what I've got now is 16 gigabits of RAM, and I can expand that up to 32 gigabits of RAM, which isn't the top of the line, but that's more than what I need at this present time. Now, the big time gamers and stuff, they have motherboards and stuff with 64 gig of RAM and 128 gigs of RAM. I'm not ready to go there yet, but who knows? It may go in the future. Also, when you buy a new computer, one of the things you have to do is, say, get your information off your other computer. Now, if you go to Best Buy or some of those, the Geek Squad, they can do that for you, transfer all your data over. I actually ordered my computer online, so when it came here, it wasn't like I could take it to them, although Dell does have a program called Dell Migration, which is good for 60 days, 60 or 90 days, I think, to migrate a lot of the data out. And I used Dell Migration. It worked good. It moved all the data, all my files and folders, all of that was moved from the old computer to the new computer. The only thing with Dell Migration or any program that just moves files and data is getting your programs moved. And moving programs like what you've bought, what you have in your computer that you use, is not as easy a process. So it took a long time for the data to move because I had to do it via the internet. I didn't have a cable linking one computer to the other, even though I do have a network here, so I use my network. But it was still, I forget exactly, but it took maybe about 14 hours for it to move all of my data from the one hard drive, which was a terabit hard drive that came with the computer, over to this new hard drive that I have here. So that was, you had to put it on and just go away and let it do its thing. Although you could still work, I could work on my computers while it was moving these files. But all the files moved. None of them got lost. Nothing that I did a check to see how many files I had, how many were moved from the old computer to the new computer, and it matched up. So they moved all the files, all the data, pictures, even some junk I didn't need to move got moved with it, and I'll still have to clean that out. But that was a good job. So I'm going to tell you about moving the programs and the program I used to do that. I'm not getting paid. I'm not even a trial user of these. I don't get anything from Dell for mentioning their computer that they've got, but I did want to let you know what I ran into. I'm not saying that this is a better computer or that you have to go out and get it. I'm just telling you what happened with the computer that I bought. And as I said, it was a Dell XPS 8920. Wait a minute, let me pull that back up again. Make sure I'm not telling you the wrong information about this system. Let's see, what do we got here? It's a Dell 8940, XPS 8940 is what I bought. So yeah, it seems to be working real good right now. So we're going to come back and tell you a little bit more about this new computer, but we're going to go back to NASA right now with a program that they call Space to Ground. So let's see what's going on Space to Ground. I'd like to give you information about what's happening in NASA, and now we want to give you Space to Ground. So let's see if we can bring that up, and you can see what's happening with more information from the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. If I can get this to go right.
On the space station, astronauts expect a delivery of not one, but 2 cargo spacecrafts this week.
And liftoff. Liftoff of Progress 80.
Love was not the only thing in the air on February 14th when a Russian cargo spacecraft launched to the space station from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan at 11:25 p.m. Eastern. Progress 80 docked to the space station 3 days later, delivering food, fuel, and supplies to the crew. Speaking of Valentine's Day, the astronauts aboard the space station may have spent the holiday away from their loved ones on Earth, but still made the most of their day with their crewmates. Astronaut Kayla Barron posted this photo she took from the space station, wishing everyone on the planet a happy Valentine's Day from off the planet. A second cargo spacecraft is making its way to the International Space Station later this week, too, carrying scientific experiments that will give researchers a better look at plant root growth and cancer cell growth. Growing plants in space involves soil, which can be heavy and require a lot of maintenance. One experiment launching on Northrop Grumman's 17th resupply mission hopes to change that. The X-Roots experiment is looking to use hydroponic, or water-based, or aeroponic, air-based, techniques to reduce mass. It will allow astronauts and researchers the ability to watch the roots as they grow. Another experiment launching is called the MicroQuinn 3D experiment. It will look at the effects of a drug on breast and prostate cancer cells. They'll be using the microgravity environment to grow the cells in a 3D model, allowing researchers to get a better look. The MicroQuinn 3D experiment hopes to make researchers smarter about disease progression and drug resistance, so one day we might see new treatments for cancer patients on Earth that are more effective and have better patient outcomes. Cygnus is expected to launch with these experiments and more shortly after noon on Saturday, February 19th. The spacecraft will lift off from NASA's Wallops Flight Facility in Virginia atop a Northrop Grumman Antares rocket. It'll arrive at the space station 2 days later on Monday, February 21st. Coverage of the rendezvous and capture begins at 3 a.m. Eastern, with installation coverage at 6 a.m. You can catch all of these events live on NASA TV, nasa.gov, or on your NASA app. This Cygnus is dubbed the SS Pierce Sellers, a nod to the late NASA astronaut who played a vital role in the assembly of the space station and a champion of Earth science at NASA during his career. You can keep up with all of these experiments and more by following us on Twitter at ISS_research. That's all for today on Space to Ground. See you next week.
All right. That's what's going on at NASA. Well, wait a minute. It wants to keep going. See if I can make sure it stops. All right. We're done. No, it hasn't stopped. Okay. Let's see. That's where we run into a little bit of control thing right there. There we go. All right, all right. So yeah, getting all my settings together. And that's another thing when you get a new computer is getting all the settings together. I had to download this program. We use OBS for a lot of our broadcasting and Zoom and Caster and a couple other programs that help us to get this out to you. And when you get a new computer, you've got to load them in. You've got to do all the settings over again, get all that balanced out. But we got it balanced out and it's going now. So we're able to broadcast to you and it's fun. When you buy a new computer nowadays, remember if you bought some in the old days, you got a great big book with your computer with all the information in it. Now, because they want to save energy and be more conservative, which is good because we got to watch global warming, this is what you get. I got this booklet right here. This is all we get with a new computer. So it folds out. It's about 10 pages, and they're about postcard size, telling you how to hook your computer up, get it plugged up. But you are able to go online to Dell and download the manuals that you need. So it's all in electronic form, which I think is better for the planet, for the environment. One of the bad things about it is it's on your computer. If your computer messes up, then that's where your manual is. And I don't suggest that you should print the manual out because that'd just be a big bunch of paper sitting around. But you might take some of that information that you pull down like that and put it on a flash drive. That way a manual, troubleshooting, some of those type of things, if you have it on a flash drive, you can always take it to another computer and plug it in, bring it up and read it and get the information off of it, or go to the library and print out the pages you need and come back home to straighten out what's going on your computer. But saving that and making a backup, emergency backups that they recommend, you want to make those. You definitely want to prepare your new computer to be your base computer. Now, another thing that we had to do, as I told you, we moved the data, but we couldn't move the programs with the Dell migration. It moves data, but it doesn't move programs. So I had another program called LapLink, which is able to transfer programs from one computer to another computer. And that's legal long as you get the old programs off of your old computer and don't use them. Most of your programs, if you bought them, are licensed to be used on one computer. If you have a license for multiple computers, then that's okay. But usually for home use, you've got it licensed for one computer and at a time. But if you have like Microsoft Office, if you take it off of one computer, put it on another computer, there's not a problem. You're not supposed to have it on two computers running. And a lot of your other programs that you may have bought or downloaded, what have you, other than if they're a free program and the Creative Commons license that lets you put it on anything that you want or as many copies and there's no problem, then you should check with your manufacturer of that software and make sure you're not violating any rules by moving it from one computer to another computer. And like I say, I'm not a lawyer, so don't say that I told you could do it. Look it up, find out for yourself. Because the only thing I know is that you can move programs, and a lot of times you're not supposed to have the same program if you only bought one license on more than one computer. So, check that out before you do it and go forward from there. But, yeah, we've got a lot of the programs moved over and they're working. A lot of the programs that I use are actually free programs, or they ask for donations. So there's no charge on them. This OBS program that I'm using right now is a freeware program. You can get it, you can load it, use it all you want. It doesn't cost anything. But then you should give them a donation because there's a lot of hours that goes into this. People they're doing it because they like to and make it out there, but they're wanting to also get their product into a lot of hands and maybe make it so big that they can take it into a profitable format. So some of the programs that you can get with Creative Commons license or freeware work pretty good. OBS is a good program, so you can get that and use it. They also have a program called OpenOffice and LibreOffice, which give you word processing, presentation programs. They're not as feature laden. They don't have as many features as you would get from a PowerPoint or Microsoft Word, but at the same time, they're free. So it will let you type up a letter. It will let you make brochures or do some of the things that we do, because a lot of times we don't need the big fancy program for the stuff that we're doing. So you can look into that. So I was able to download those programs and put them on here and work with them just fine. I'm going to be using the trial version of Microsoft Office and then see what I'll do if I'm going to go to Office 365, if I'll get the new version of it, or how I'll go with that. So buying a new computer brings up a lot of problems, or not problems, but a lot of decisions that we have to make. The other thing is that all that stuff costs money, and I have to decide how much I want to spend after spending money on this new computer. So, we're kind of glad that we have it. It is a good thing to have, but, it's a cost. So that's kind of my story on there. I used LapLink to move my program from one computer to another. That was very slow. They sent a cable. I had a cable to go Ethernet to Ethernet, and it didn't seem to work right. So once again, I had to go through my network on the computer, and your computer going through the internet is only as fast as your bandwidth and what you've got. So if you've got a Google gigabit line, it's going to happen faster as far as transferring the programs or even the data than, if you have a slower line. Now, I happen to live in an area where I don't have my main provider doesn't give me fiber. All I've got is a 45 megabit pipe. So 45 megabits and trying to move a few hundred megabits or a few gigabits of, well, I didn't move a gigabit. I think I moved about a half a gig over on it. And it took a long time. Plus, the programs have to be installed on the new computer. So it's not just like moving data. Moving data, you just take a file, move it from one place to another place, and it's done. It's just like sticking a flash drive in. You can move all the folders and stuff from one computer into your flash drive, stick it in the other, and it just downloads it. Great. But when you start talking about moving programs, that's a little bit different, because programs have to be installed, and there's going to be things done in the registry so that your computer knows how to access this program and use it. So this program that I used actually installed the programs on my new computer. And so far, it looks like they're working. I got a bug in a couple of them that I've got to check out. The program's there, but it's not, and it's an older program. So it's not recognizing my ID to come up. But the main programs that I wanted moved are moving and working just fine. I even have a couple of programs that aren't being made anymore. So I really wanted to get them moved, because it wasn't like you could get a new version of it. So I was able to move those programs over. One of them that I use is Microsoft's Photo Gallery. Well, Microsoft doesn't make Photo Gallery anymore. They haven't made it since before Windows 10 even came out. And I like it because that's the way I'm used to saving pictures, and it does it by the dates chronologically, and I think it's pretty good at what it does. So I've been able to move it from one computer. Matter of fact, this is the third computer that I've actually moved it onto. So it's an old program from back in the 90s or the early 2000s, but it still functions. It works on this computer as it did on my other computers. So Microsoft, I know you're not supporting it, but I'm still using it anyway. So sometimes if you have old programs, if they work, you don't have to move to something latest and greatest all the time. If it works for you, keep using it. And even if you have to buy a new computer, if you can move that program over, if you save the disk, if there's a still load, hey, I'm all for using it. I don't have to buy the newest program, because a lot of times we don't use half the features on some of these programs that we've got, or I don't. And I know a lot of people that they haven't done a lot of the things that the programs can do. So if you've got an old version of Word that's working for you, hey, keep using it. Long as you can, long as it works on your computer, I would say use it till it becomes something that doesn't do what you want it to do, and then it's time to change. That's the way I feel about computers, about programs, just like you would with a car. Long as my car is still running, it gets me from point A to point B, it does what I want to do, I don't have to buy the newest car out there. But when it stops doing what I want it to do, if it has to go in the shop a lot, and if it doesn't have the features that I need for safety or something like that, then it's time to move up to a new one. Same thing with the computers and with the software with me. If it's doing what I'm doing, if it has the safety in there, now a lot of times they stop giving you patches and things like this, so you can have some vulnerabilities for your data by using old programs. So you have to be careful of that. But for a lot of programs and for a lot of us users, we can keep using that old program just the same. So that's just my little bit on it. My wife would tell you I'm a little bit cheap, so I don't like to buy new programs and stuff until I really have to anyway. So if you're not cheap and you got money to burn, hey, get the latest and the greatest and keep on rolling with it. But yeah, we're going to go back. I think I've shown you some of what's going on in the night sky in February, in the middle of February. But I'm going to run that by you again, too, so that you can see what's up in the sky for February. For all you star watchers and those that may gaze out into the heavens, let's take a look at that and what's up in the sky right now. All right, be right back.
What's up for February? Jupiter makes its exit, Venus at peak brightness, and the star-forming cloud next door. With the departure of Saturn and Venus over the past 2 months, Jupiter is the only bright planet left in our twilight skies in February, and it's on its way out. The giant planet stands alone low in What's up for February? Jupiter makes its exit, Venus at peak brightness, and the star-forming cloud next door. With the departure of Saturn and Venus over the past 2 months, Jupiter is the only bright planet left in our twilight skies in February, and it's on its way out. The giant planet stands alone low in the western sky after sunset in February. By mid-month, it's setting only about an hour after the sun. Once Jupiter departs at the end of February, the post-sunset sky will be essentially devoid of naked-eye planets until August, when Saturn will start rising in the east around sunset. There's a short period, though, in April and May when you might be able to spot Mercury as it pops briefly above the horizon. You'd have to go back 4 years to March of 2018 to find twilight skies with no bright planets. So catch Jupiter before it's gone, and look for it to become a morning planet in April. Speaking of morning skies, the planet Venus will be at its brightest for the year in February, around mid-month. It rises with Mars around 4 a.m. and is visible low in the southeast until sunrise. Venus is the brightest of all the planets in our solar system because of the highly reflective clouds that completely cover its globe. But its brightness in our skies varies depending on how far it is from Earth and on its phase. Turns out Venus is brightest not when it's closest to Earth, but when it's almost at its closest and still shows us a large, bright crescent phase. So enjoy the crescent Venus that is the planet at its brightest, and look for Venus to form a trio with the Moon and Mars on the morning of February 26th. February is a perfect time to enjoy one of the most popular and well-studied sights in the night sky, the Great Nebula in Orion. The Orion Nebula is an enormous cloud of gas and dust where thousands of stars are being born. In fact, it's the nearest large star-forming region to our solar system and around 1,500 light-years away. The bright central region of the Orion Nebula is a giant cavity in the cloud, being carved out by the intense ultraviolet light from a handful of extremely massive young stars. Finding the Orion Nebula is easy in February, as the constellation Orion will be high in the south around 8 or 9 p.m. Look for the 3 stars of the Hunter's Belt, and then find the stars that hang below it, forming Orion's Sword. In the center of this line of stars is one that looks kind of fuzzy. That's the nebula. It's visible to the unaided eye under relatively dark skies and is easily seen with binoculars as a faint haze. And through a telescope, it's a sight you'll never forget. Here are the phases of the Moon for February. Stay up to date with all of NASA's missions to explore the solar system and beyond at nasa.gov. I'm Preston Dykes from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and that's what's up for this month.
All right. So that's some information of what's up in the night sky. So if you haven't been out and did any stargazing, that's a great hobby to start. Go out and look and check out the skies and see what's up there. It's not bad, and you can learn something. You can also show your children some of the things that are up there that can be helpful, just to inspire their imaginations. Well, there's a lot going on. This is Black History Month, as you know. So part of the thing that we want to do is keep you abreast of things that are going on in Black history. And one of the things that I ran across is that, let's see, what was it? William, no, his name's not William. Let me get his name right. Robert Smith, the billionaire, Robert Smith, just announced $1.8 million in micro grants for HBCU students at black colleges. So this comes out of the Essence Sports reporting, but Robert Smith has been working overtime to ensure he does all he can to help create generational wealth for students of color. In 2019, he paid off the student loan debt of the entire graduating class of Morehouse College, eventually extending that debt payoff to the students' parents as well. So even if the parents had borrowed some money. Then in 2020, Smith donated $50 million to his Student Freedom Initiative to support STEM students. The organization is a public charity dedicated to ensuring freedom in career and life choices for students attending minority-serving institutions. But he didn't stop there. No, year by year, finding new ways to create even more access and opportunities for students in need. In 2021, Robert Smith launched the One Stock, One Future initiative, aimed at creating 1 million Black and Latinx youth shareholders and investors. He then gifted students, staff, and faculty members from New York, New Jersey's Eagle Academy College Prep Network with a total of 15,000 shares of stock, naming the 2019 Morehouse grads whose debt he paid off as partners in the gift. Now, Smith has announced another generous endeavor, launching a $1.8 million grant program geared towards HBCU students. So, hey, this guy is a billionaire, but he's giving back, and this is a Black billionaire that is giving back in the community, giving back to students. Smith's Student Freedom Initiative has partnered with Prudential Financial to provide $1.8 million in micro grants to HBC students through the Handling Everyday Life Problems for Students program called HELPS. The goal of the program is to address financial need for students that may not necessarily be academic related, providing one-time funds for expenses disproportionately faced by Black students. Over 75% of students at HBCUs are considered low income, relying on Pell Grants to meet their college expenses. However, for many of these students, these grants are not enough. During recent on-site visits at multiple HBCUs, we learned from executive leaderships that student focus groups that many of our students are unable to overcome financial challenges for expenses that are not directly related to the cost of college. These expenses left unaddressed can derail their college plans. That explained Mark Brown, the executive director of the Student Freedom Initiative. So some of the challenges included home life challenges, including many students feeling personally responsible for the negative impacts of debt incurred by their parents who took out Parent Plus loans for their education. Couple that with the lack of financial literacy and the complex promissory notes that keep students in long-term debt long into adulthood, and you have a recipe for disaster. It is the goal of the HELPS program to fill in those financial gaps so students don't have to choose between their education and their financial well-being. So that's a good thing. So this is some Black history that is happening right now, that these students are being helped by this billionaire, Robert Smith, who has paid off student loans, a whole class of Morehouse students. He paid off their loans so they didn't have to pay anything. And now he's even going further to try and help African-American students and Latinx students get through college without a lot of debt, and to be able to start with that freedom and to not be feeling guilty about some of the debt maybe that their parents incurred getting them through college or into college. So that's a great thing. So that's a Black History moment to remember. Also, in Black history, the University of Alabama renames a school building in honor of their first Black student, Arthurine Lucy Foster. The building was formerly named after a Klansman. So now they've changed the name at one of the University of Alabama students and renamed the school building in honor of their first Black student. Arthurine Lucy Foster was the first Black student to enroll in courses at the University of Alabama more than 6 decades ago. There she faced a heap of racial discrimination and white supremacist violence, being denied a dormitory room by the school's board of trustees, facing threats and rioters on campus, and eventually being expelled from the school. Now, 6 decades later, the University of Alabama System's Board of Trustees will be renaming a campus building in her honor. The building was previously named after Bibb Graves, a former governor of Alabama who served from 1927 to 1931 and again from 1935 to 1939. During his tenure, Graves was credited with increasing funding for schools. He was also a member of the Ku Klux Klan, later renouncing the organization in later life. But yeah, that was a thing. So they've changed that school building. It's just one of the buildings on campus, from being named after Bibb Graves to Arthurine Lucy Foster. So remember that. That's 60 years ago when she enrolled. And you think it's hard on you in college what she had to go through, where the board of trustees of the school even would not give her a dormitory room. So it wasn't like the students denying, but the people in charge said, no, you can't stay here. And she was eventually expelled from the school. So it's something good to see after all that time that this lady's name will go on to a building. So let's remember all those that we stand on their shoulders of. It's because of them. And that's what you can look up on the web. This is a good news periodical that comes out. Because of them, we can. Because of what they went through, you can do some of the things that you're doing now. And we want that to be said in the future, that the students and that the people that are coming along after us, because of what we do today, they'll have more opportunities in the future. All right, that's my time right now. This is the Black Family Technology Awareness Association show, BFTAA and more, brought to you on KUAW Radio as a partnership between the Black Family Technology Awareness Association and the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center. Glad that you were with me today. Be sure and stay tuned. We'll be here next Monday from 5 to 5:45 for BFTAA and more. See you later. Bye-bye.